The farm had been in my family for as long as anyone could remember, passed down through generations, surviving storms, wars, and time itself. Our land stretched far across the hills of Cedar Hollow, a quiet, forgotten place where cell signals died and the air always carried the smell of rain and earth. At the far end of the property stood the old farmhouse, a structure older than anyone alive, its wood warped and gray, its windows clouded with dust. No one really knew when it was built. My mother used to say it was already ancient when your great-grandfather was a child. Growing up, I'd heard the same story every kid in my family heard, that the house used to serve as a photo parlor for the dead. In the late 1800s, before funeral homes were common, families would bring their deceased loved ones here to have one last photograph taken. The dead would be propped up on chairs, their eyes forced open with wire, and relatives would stand beside them smiling faintly, pretending the moment was peaceful. My mother swore her grandmother had seen one of those photographs. A young woman in white, sitting upright, her head ever so slightly tilted, her eyes glossy and empty. I always thought Mom said that just to scare me. But then there were the other stories, the whispers, the voices in the kitchen, the laughter no one else could hear. My Aunt Carol used to tell us about her grandmother, the one who lived in that house during the 1940s. Every evening, while cooking dinner, she'd carry on long conversations with someone unseen. She'd laugh softly, nod, even pause as if listening. But whenever anyone else entered the kitchen, silence. For years, it was all just family legend, something we laughed about at dinners or told to scare the younger cousins. But that changed last winter. It started when Uncle Dave, the family skeptic, decided he was tired of the ghost stories. "You're all just letting your imaginations run wild," he said. "Next time I'm up there, I'll prove it's nothing but dust and shadows." He went to the old farmhouse one Saturday afternoon. He didn't tell anyone until he came back with pictures. In one of them, the kitchen corner, there was a dark, human-shaped blur. Not a trick of light, not a shadow, a figure. We stared at it for hours, zooming in, changing the brightness. The shape was still there. That was the first real moment any of us stopped laughing about the house. Months passed. Then came the annual family trip. Every year around Thanksgiving, we'd gather at the farm for 3 days of food and stories. That year, we all knew what was coming. Everyone wanted to see the house for themselves. The house sat a mile from the main road at the edge of the trees. By the time we got there, the afternoon sky was darkening. The air felt heavier near the door, like stepping through an invisible curtain. "All right," Uncle Dave said, "let's settle this." There were 7 of us. We entered carefully, the floor creaking beneath our feet. Dust floated in the sunlight, slicing through the cracked windows. We made our way to the kitchen, the same corner from that photo. My dad brought his expensive professional camera. "If anything's there," he said, "this will catch it." He lifted the camera. Click. Nothing. No sound, no flash. The camera was dead. He frowned, changed the battery, tried again, still nothing. "Must be the cold," someone whispered. So we stepped outside. He tried one more shot. Click. It worked perfectly. Then back inside, dead again. The air was colder now. My breath came out in mist. Then suddenly, my Aunt Carol let out a sharp scream. "Sarah, what the hell?" she shouted, clutching her arm. Sarah, her daughter, looked confused. "What? I didn't touch you." But Carol's sleeve was torn, and a fresh red scratch ran down her arm. Long and thin like fingernails had raked her skin. Everyone froze. No one was near her. We bolted for the porch, gasping in the cold air. The old house seemed to breathe behind us, its windows black and watching. Then, crash. A loud sound came from inside. We turned to look through the doorway. The old vacuum cleaner that had been standing in the corner was now on the floor, smashed to pieces. No one had been near it. No wind, no movement. Just a violent crash out of nowhere. We tried to convince ourselves it was the wind, the floorboards, anything, but our nerves were shot. Aunt Carol refused to go back in. But the rest of us, we weren't done. My dad and I decided to check the basement. The others stayed upstairs while we went down the narrow steps. Our flashlights cutting through the blackness. The air grew cold. So cold, I could see my breath. The smell was thick with damp earth. Halfway down, my dad whispered, "Do you feel that?" I did. It felt like the air itself was pressing against us. At the bottom, we found the basement full of old glass jars, hundreds of them, coated in dust. Some were filled with strange yellowish liquid and things that looked like they once might have been animals. Then I turned my flashlight right and froze. There was a hole in the wall, about the size of a doorway. It looked freshly dug, the dirt edges crumbling. Something about it felt wrong. I leaned forward slightly, and then something moved inside it. Just the faintest shuffle, like fabric brushing stone. "Dad," I whispered, backing up, before he could answer. A jar flew off a shelf and shattered against the wall beside us. We ran, didn't even look back, burst out into the night air, hearts pounding like thunder. When we reached the others, we didn't even speak. We just started packing our things. That night, nobody slept in that house again. A week later, we talked about what had happened, and that's when my cousin noticed something strange. Every single person who'd been hurt or targeted wasn't blood family. Aunt Carol, who was scratched, had married into the family. My dad, the one who almost got hit by the jar, married my mom, but none of the blood relatives were touched. It was as if the spirit, whatever lived in that house, was protecting its bloodline and warning the outsiders to leave. Now, years later, that house still stands at the edge of our farm. No one's been inside since that night. But every so often, when the wind carries across the fields, you can hear something faint but clear, like someone in the kitchen talking softly to a friend who isn't there.